All right, those of you tuning into the stream, welcome.
Evening, Mystic.
Good evening, Phoenix. We'll let a few people get warmed up, get into the stream before we dive into a bunch of topics. Man, we got a ton to review. We only have really 2 races to review, but man, it was the 2 most action-packed races that we've had this season.
2 of the best finishes we've had in a, well, not that long, but very intense. Kind of made it more, you know.
But let's give you a quick rundown. This past Thursday, we had the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We did see you guys on Wednesday night and broke down the Blue-Green Vacation dual events on Wednesday night. That did set the field for this afternoon's Daytona 500. We'll get into that in a minute. I know that's kind of the entree, but we'll get into, we don't want to say appetizer as the Xfinity race. It really wasn't an appetizer. That was an entree in itself. All right. Man, that was a humdinger, as they call it, to the finish. But we saw you guys on Wednesday night. We broke down the Daytona 500 starting lineup, the dual events, the Truck Series event on Tuesday night. So if you did miss episode number 3, go check that one out. We don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But let's talk about the Xfinity race on Thursday night. 120 laps set the field. I believe we had a full field starting in that one. 18 drivers took the green flag on a action-packed Thursday night. And leading us to the green on Thursday night, who was that? I forgot, Phoenix.
If I'd remember to pull up the starting lineup, I'd tell you.
I believe it was S4G Mystic who led us to the ground. I forgot I got the pole.
That's right.
It was Mystic. Yeah, I forgot. It was Mystic and Ricky LaFleur leading the field to the green for 120 action-packed laps. We did have one DNQ. That was Viper, who did not qualify for the event. But full field to the green.
We did have an action-packed day of 200 laps of really intense racing at Daytona for all of us. So if we're a little punchy, forgive us.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. Let's talk the Xfinity race. Stage 1, it was clean and green, but man, it got a little hairy there at the end of Stage 1. Everybody was jockeying for position throughout the first stage. Some drivers did lose the draft. Some were a little impatient and wanting to really get racing. I mean, first stage in Xfinity is only 30 laps. It's not like you can get too comfortable. But we saw some drivers kind of hang low. We saw some drivers really push the issue, push the tempo. Mystic set the pace early on, but he didn't lead for long as he was quickly passed early on in the event. We talked about Gaming Legend. Gaming Legend went to the front very quickly in that race. And it got dicey, but Stage 1 was clean and green early on. Phoenix, we talked about you. You had a good start to that race.
I did, because I don't remember. It was very intense. There was a lot of shoulder banging and arm rubbing, and all the way through the first stage. But we raced it typically like we had raced Speedweeks and the shootout and the truck race, which was a lot of runs, a lot of jockeying for position, a lot of action going on from the front of the field all the way to the back. And I can only think that what added to it is at the end of the first stage, the top 5 guys only got points. So everybody was jockeying for those points positions in the championship, for the championship. So it made it much more intense. And only 30 laps? Wow. Yeah.
As
we were flying too.
You can see the stage point tweak on paper it's not that big of a change, but when you get down to it and you got 12, 13, 14 cars all together at the end of the stage, that really amped it up. Because a lot of guys want those stage points. Some people opt to not push as hard for stage points and kind of just play their strategy out for the win and win only and kind of bank on that third stage only. But these drivers really, really had the wick turned up at the end of these stages. And Stage 1, really, really competitive. And both stages were really competitive to the end. But Stage 1 went clean, as we saw. And Once we went green for stage 2, it's like, all right, everyone really wanted to turn it up another level, and it kind of got a little rough there, Phoenix. I believe we had a total of about 6 or 7 cautions total in the 30 laps in stage number 2.
I think I went flying through the air once or twice. It was it was intense. I don't remember a lot of details from it, but I want to emphasize that we just got off the Cup race, but these are the fastest cars we now race on Heat 5. These were maybe 10 miles an hour faster. So everything happens faster. So when you ramp it up with the Xfinity cars now, you have a lot of stuff going on much quicker, than the trucks or even the Cup cars now, and it really blossomed during that second stage. That was that was fun.
But a caution sprinkled second stage really got everyone concerned about how the rest of the race was going to go. We really had to get everyone to reset at the end of segment number 2 there, but it's all right. It's all right. The racing was still top-notch. The racing was still competitive. Everyone was fierce. And I'll add on to Phoenix's point. These are the fastest cars we run now. These are the loosest cars we run now. So it threw most of the drivers off, including me at first, but I did get a hang to it really early. I think a lot of these drivers that have been practicing the majority in the next-gen cars and even trucks, the Xfinity cars are so out there now. They're not compared to the other two types of vehicles that we run now.
Yep.
Usually the Xfinity, you could just lead it at most tracks into the Cup car. You can't do that anymore. The Xfinity car is its own different platform now, if you will. The next-gen car is more compared to as the way it drives to a truck vehicle. Wouldn't you agree, Phoenix?
Yes, they've always been able to handle similar setups, but the racing is much faster. Because you're going about 10 miles an hour faster than the truck too now. The truck is maybe just a couple miles slower than the Cup car. It's really changed everything around, so you got to think about it totally differently, But with the Xfinity race the other night, I was just thinking about it, that you had the first stage was fairly docile, though a little rubbing. But the second stage, I think everybody realized the place to be was up front, and so we spent the whole second stage going for the same spot through the field, which is probably why so many cautions came out.
The final stage went green for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and everyone really just rode and was minding their P's and Q's for a long time. And then I believe we had a caution there, Phoenix, that really re-racked the field late in that race. And
yeah.
And everyone was kind of panicking, didn't know what to do. Some pitted, some didn't. Some really didn't have anything to lose. And then it was a sprint to the finish. Sprint to the finish is always, we keep saying turn the wick up another level, but, how high can you go, really? We saw drivers that we haven't even seen before run at the front. The 89 of F1 Addict. We saw drivers, Curdy was up there in the mix. We saw drivers all over the place. Where did he come from? We said that a bunch of times.
Well,
and they was holding their own really, really good up in the pack, and it took a while for guys to make moves late in the race.
Well, we definitely had some on-track incidents. I ended up losing the draft, trying to anticipate and avoid something that was happening. And one thing I like to note is, since I've gotten the 22 DLC update, the truck and the Xfinity handle a little differently. In regards to draft, I lose the draft a lot quicker now. And what I did the other night and lost the draft, I wouldn't have done that, before the 22 DLC. So that was a factor. I ended up going a lap down and be at the tail end of the lead lap, first car lap down coming to it, but I was right there in the middle of all that stuff that happened at the end, which essentially, weren't you part of that, Mystic?
Part of what?
The run at the end of the race?
Yes. Yes. Sorry to bring
you remember you raced it with us, right?
But
we're really messed up tonight.
But as we got to the end of the race there, everyone was riding. A few folks would pull out of line, but nobody would seem to go. And we got down to under 10 to go, under 8 to go, even 7 to go, and it's like, how long are we going to wait until we make a move? And I know people were watching the 4 car of Wade Gaming. People were watching the 20 car, his brother, Gaming Legend. People were watching guys
62?
Like that. The 60, well, not today,
well, not
but the Xfinity Series.
Whatever he was in the other night.
But
he wasn't there that night. Chad wasn't there.
But a lot of people were watching guys like that, wondering when they were going to make that move, and they waited as long as possible, and then boom, all of a sudden, here they come, and then everybody started making moves, and it got wild from there.
Yep, it certainly did, and the only thing I can say really is that they headed into that last lap fairly confident. You can tell by the way they were driving. But to me, they left them a little bit vulnerable. But nobody really was moving out until we hit the white flag and entered turn 1 and 2. And then who moves out? A rookie. And who goes with them?
Well, a rookie by the number of the 89... That was F1 Addict, who had led a bunch of laps in that third stage. F1 Addict, his first ever NASCAR race, league race, any race on NASCAR. He's from Formula One. He's from Canada. First ever race, first ever start in Mystic Racing. He led a bunch of laps, got shuffled to the back of the line. I'd say there was almost about 10 cars in the lead draft at the end, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But made his way back up to third or fourth, got shuffled back to the outside there at the end of the race, all by his lonesome. And myself, Mystic, got shuffled back as well with Adam and others. And on the outside, on the last lap, it was Wade, his older brother, Gaming Legend. I believe Story Square was in third on the bottom.
And I was fourth in line, a
but
lap
they
down
all
behind
were not
Story.
Connected on the bottom off of turn number 2. So the 89 was not losing progress. He was kind of maintaining, if not actually gaining, which is very hard to do.
You flew by me.
Here comes the 9 car of myself. Got to take a chance, because if you guys have raced these super speedways, the only way you win these things is by taking chances. And I went to the outside to push the 89. Adam went with me, and we had a few others follow Adam, and we pushed the 89, and we're getting a run off of turn number 2. The 20 car of Gaming Legend, who was the leader. I actually it was an accident. The 20 of Gaming Legend was the leader. Wade Gaming was actually second. The 20, which is the leader off of turn number 2, halfway down the backstretch, throws a block. All right, throws a block. And you know it's going to be on from there. He throws a block on the outside lane on the 89. The 89 elects to go 3 wide through the middle of the 2 Wade brothers. And oh my goodness, you have to watch it to believe it. It got rough, to say the least. We had one car go a little bit below the yellow line, one car get up into the wall, but everybody kept it pointed straight. We kept it going in the right direction, and that's what matters. Now, Phoenix, what happened after that?
Well, it was like a 7-10 split, and everybody had to gather it up and go, but the 89 pulled out in front. Oh, an incredible move. I thought we were going to have a caution, but we didn't.
But
and we kept it straight, and we kept going.
The 4 of Wade Gaming held it on the bottom there and didn't really lose that much progress. Fortunately for the 20, he did lose a bunch of progress on the top. He got into the wall there, but somebody was going to have to get the worst end of it. The 89...
It was just a couple inches less room than they needed, really.
The 89, with help from the 9 of Mystic, outran the bottom line of Wade Gaming, and the winner of the first Xfinity race of the season, his first ever start, was the F1 Addict. An unbelievable finish. You have to watch it to believe it. Phoenix, honestly, that was the best finish of the season yet.
Wait, you don't give him enough credit. First start in our league. First start in a NASCAR Heat 5 car. First race at Daytona.
You know how hard that is to achieve? And that was an unbelievable drive. And yes, I know he had help from me and others, but man, he did a great job of holding his own up front all race long.
Well, I was impressed. We watched the replays, from different cars and such. I was impressed that his first instinct was such a racer instinct. When the block was thrown and Wade was on the bottom and Chris was on the top, gaming legend, he just said, "Okay, well, I'll just go through the middle." And, his first race, first time NASCAR, inexperienced in F1, but not in NASCAR, and he just had the instinct and he won the race. It worked. I can't. I'm still thinking about it. It's an amazing move. First time on the track with us. First time at Daytona, and he found the way to victory lane. It was cool.
It was wild. So F1 Addict wins his first ever race. We applaud him. That finishes. We already got a candidate for finish of the year. That's going to be hard to beat early on.
Yeah.
Mystic was second. Wade Gaming was third. Gaming Legend was fourth. Adam Dabbs was fifth. Story Square got the hard charger. He came from 15th to 6th. Shady Acres 7th. Ricky LaFleur was 8th. Curdy was 9th. Time was 10th. Grimm was 11th. Davey Allison 12th. Rick Niner was 13th. Phoenix 14th in that one. You were the first car a lap down.
Yeah.
X-Boxer, the rookie, was 15th. One fast bean, another rookie, 16th. Wildman was 17th. We had one DNF. That was Parky Plunger, finished 18th in that one. We had 18 start. Full field on a Thursday night. It was an excellent race. Reminder, if you missed the full coverage of the Beef, It's What's for Dinner 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series this past Thursday, you can go watch every lap right here on Mystic Racing League's YouTube. Phoenix, it's going to be hard for those guys, all of us, to top that action at Phoenix this week. But
we found the Beef.
We found the Beef. There was some hot drivers.
Addicts car.
There was some hot drivers at the end of that one. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's Daytona, and whether you work with a guy for, if it's a 500 lap race at Daytona, you work with a guy for 499. You are your own man when that white flag comes out. I know if me and you work together, listen, I'm trying to beat you and you're trying to beat me. It's racing.
Yeah.
So,
but again, the way the race played out and the way most of our super speedway races play out now is we literally have like 10 guys that if they're up front, any one of them can cross the line first, which is very cool, which means that we get a lot of action and a lot of stuff going on at the end of the races, and we've had some tremendous finishes over the last 2 weeks, and great racing. So, it's just amazing that he was able to do what he did, F1 Addict, on his first outing and bring it home.
So, let's go ahead and move on. This afternoon was the Great American Race, our final race of Speedweeks, the Daytona 500. We had 24 drivers make the show. We did have 2 drivers that did not show this afternoon due to other obligations at the last second, so we hate they couldn't be with us. So we rolled off 22 drivers for the green flag. Still a phenomenal field. It was a sight to see. We started off the morning, with some technical difficulties that it was absolutely terrible, I should say. I don't know what else to say, but it was a rough morning for myself. But when the time came, we was ready to roll. The Daytona 500, I know a lot of people were anticipating today based off last year's Daytona 500, because last year, if you missed last year, well, it was a little rough, for an understatement. A little. We'll say a little. If you saw it, then I don't have to really explain it to you. But this year, we were determined to make it a lot better, and we're always trying to better our mistakes. We're always trying to learn, and exactly that is what we did this year. 22 drivers took the green flag, and we won't say rookie, but newcomer, if you will. I don't want to use the term rookie because he's not a rookie. The number 77 of Curdy led the field to the green flag, but he did not lead lap number 1. That was led by the veteran Wade Gaming, and he would lead the first 10 laps of the 500 before it was taken over by one fast beam. Stage 1 went clean and green until it was brought to a halt at the end of the stage with 2 to go by, I believe, Chad in turn number 3. They got together with the glitch. But let's talk about early on in the race. Phoenix, It was competitive from the get-go, but a lot of drivers really rode early on. Some were really light. Some were trying to make me. We saw the 45 of Kime trying to just working that outside and seeing what he can do.
Well, it's no surprise Wade took the lead early on because that's what Wade does. Wade likes to be in control of the race. He likes to be out front where he can control the pace and know what's going on. It's where he's most comfortable, and he's terrific at being in that spot. So him taking the lead early was no surprise. But we started out, except for a few guys making runs early, it was a very sedate pace. We weren't really any slower than we were during Speedweeks and such. It was just all of a sudden those 40-lap sprint runs to get to the lead didn't happen. Everybody was pretty much riding. And, some people were a little confused by it, but I was looking at my speed. I'm like, in the middle of the pack, I was just working my way up. As people, went out to take a run, nobody went with them. And then they went to the back. So, I moved up into the top 10 and so on and so forth. And then about halfway through the race, I realized, wow, these cars, with the gearing that we have, can save a lot of gas, I mean, I basically saved 20 laps of gas and was going to go all the way to the end when that caution came out. So it was a very big surprise that we were getting that kind of gas mileage under the circumstances. But then, of course, we found out some people planned to go the whole stage without stopping. 65 laps. That was crazy to me before we started the race, but not so crazy when we got down to the end there. And I think I was in third. I finished third in that stage because I stayed out, and that put half the field a lap down, right?
Yes, a lot of drivers seemed to struggle early on, but the racing was still very, very good early on. Just a little calm, as you would expect, a lot calmer than last year, we'll say. Stage 1 went green up until lap 63, until the caution waved for a crash in turn number 3, ending the first stage. Stage 1 winner was the number 55 of Story Square, trying to beef up his super speedway resume as trying to get better, and he showed a lot of strength today. He showed a lot of strength today, didn't he, Phoenix?
Yeah. Maturity, I think, is the word you're looking for. Yeah,
but
much smarter.
Stage 2 went green,
strategy.
and we saw a lot of the same. Everyone just got in line. I mean, we saw some runs early, but once everyone got in line, they were content, if you will,
but
and really.
One big difference is now anybody who didn't think that we could go 65 laps knew we could go 64 laps, right? So that changed the nature of it, but we also had half the field pretty much a lap down because they all pitted when the rest of us didn't. The caution came out and they got trapped a lap down at the stage break. So now you had people that were trying to get their laps back before the stage ended, or if get in front of the leader in case a caution came out to get their laps back. So the whole second stage was a totally different animal.
That was correct. That's right. Stage 2 was about a copy and paste, if you will. I mean, the racing was a little bit more intensified as these drivers were really focused more on track position. A lot of drivers didn't want to. I mean, there's still a ton of laps to go. Don't get me wrong. Track position wasn't the main factor at this point, but a lot of drivers seemed to race like it was.
To some of us, but to others it was. It kind of mixed things up a little bit,
You saw more drivers seem to lose the draft in Stage 2, so a lot of drivers didn't want that to be them, because at this point in the race, if you lost the draft, you were in jeopardy of going a lap, maybe 2 laps down, and you couldn't afford to do that because you probably weren't going to get it back unless you had cautions.
Yep.
So the racing was a little bit more intensified, but everyone was staying content and just really riding at a pace that really was a little slower than a lot of them really wanted to go. As you saw, if somebody wasn't happy with the pace, we saw some folks not too happy, they would try to make an effort and go up there and control it.
But we weren't that slow compared to how we ran the sprint races last week. It just, people were using a different gear and their acceleration wasn't up there and such. Personally, I since I figured that we would be gas saving, I threw it in 5th, and I was like, I like to save my gas early, so in case I got a race at the end, I can race. So about 10, 15 laps, I did that, and then I knew I could make it the rest of the way in my race gear. And you know, it was just about, okay, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? But it did play out in the end kind of like the first stage did.
So, stage 2 winner, I believe, was Ricky LaFleur in the 6th. We did have a caution to end stage number 2. What was that caution, Phoenix?
It was like 2 laps to go.
Yes.
It was like we went one more lap than the first stage, and then the caution came out with, I guess, guys fighting for position behind us, because I was up in front, in that pack, because cars again some had to pit, some due to tires, some due to gas, separated the field at that point.
So neither stage finished under green flag, but the racing was still phenomenal. Stage 1 went to Story, as I just mentioned. Stage 2 went to Ricky LaFleur, and he was one of the drivers who was really wanting to push the tempo of the race and control it. But quickly dropped back and decided to ride. Stage 3 went green with 70 laps to go, and these drivers knew no more mistakes. You got to be there to win it, and it was on from here.
Absolutely. I took the lead with your help early on, because I looked at this stage, I said, okay, it's 70 laps. If they can go 65 or 64 laps, that's one thing, but 70 laps, if we can race it, I'd prefer it. I got up front and I put my foot down with your help to get up there, and you pushing me, and we upped the pace by over a second of what we were running beforehand, which I'm sure changed a few people's strategy, and we ran that way till the pit stop, because we ran it out of gas late 2/3 of the way through or something, right?
Yes, correct. So like Phoenix was saying, he took control early on with the help of myself and others, and I guess the middle of the pack on back got to racing really, really hard and just made a few too many mistakes, but they got split apart, and it turns out there was only 5 of us in the lead group for the longest time, and they kept racing side by side and 3 wide and really slowing the air down off of each other, and it was it was actually funny to us. We were laughing, but it really broke the pack up big time, and it took them about 20-25 laps to reel it back in, and not all of them reeled us back in.
See, I was leading. I wasn't laughing because you had Wade, you had his brother Chris.
Well, we knew they was going to catch us.
Pack, and they are 3 of the fastest and best super speedway racers. So I was thinking, like, yeah, it's okay for now. They're back there, but they're not going to be back there before when we get to the end of the race.
But then it turned into a race of, all right, we know they're going to catch us. When are they going to catch us? They ended up catching us. What lap was that, Phoenix? 35 to go, 30 to go?
Somewhere in there. It was right before we pitted.
Yes. And as soon as they caught us, you can imagine they went straight to the front of the field with the huge run they had, and it shuffled things around. Right before green flag pit stops, pit window open with 47 to go. About 50 to go. We'll call it 50 to go. A lot of people could save that extra if needed, but you weren't going to save. But as expected, the whole field, they wanted to stretch it, or not stretch it, but wait and wait and wait. And while some others had a lot more fuel than other drivers, basically everybody pitted around the same vicinity as everyone else. Once that first initial group came to pit road, it was basically on from there.
Well, I think we started it. Once we said we were going to pit, then everybody around us seemed to go with us on the pit road. But then coming off pit road, everything changed, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Exiting pit road, obviously, it's very hard to enter pit road very clean with the big group and exit pit road very clean. Exiting pit road, there was a spin exiting pit road, I believe, Phoenix.
Well, it wasn't exiting, but it was on the racetrack, but coming out, I had some damage to fix, so I went in, the leader, I came out, I think 6th or 7th in line, and then as I'm getting up to speed on the backstretch to get up to the guys, I ended up with the 3 car as a hood ornament, which brought out the caution.
The
And
trouble turn 2.
yeah, and I look back on it because we didn't know what happened when it was going on, and I look back on it in one of the replays looking at something else, and it looks like it was actually a lag situation, and the 2 cars got together off turn 2, and I just happened to be in a bad spot. But it did bring out the caution, so now everything changed, right? We had what?
That was the reset
under 30
button.
laps to go?
That was about 20, 22, 23 to go. So the restart
okay.
would set up. Well, it was under 20 to go once we went green. The drivers that did not pit, it was kind of like a free reset button to them because they were about to come down pit road. We had some drivers say they were good to the end. Well, it didn't matter at this point. Everybody, it was now a true sprint to the finish. So the green flag flew, and away we went for a sub 20 lap shootout, if you will. So it was on like Donkey Kong from this point. And
didn't we have another quick caution with the getting together on the tri-oval?
I don't think that. No, there was no more.
Yeah, I
caution.
think the first one was about 30 laps, and the second one we ended up going back green about 22 because I had to come back to pit road and fix the damage.
I think
twice.
the last caution was the one off turn 2 of pit road.
Okay, well, either way, we ended up with 22 laps to go.
You think we know this stuff?
And I was well, we didn't, it was because what happened afterwards could take up another hour, right? From
Yes.
22 laps to the end of the race, and that's what we were focused on, because even though I was in the back and they were up front, we were all like, okay, now we got to reset and we got to go for it. Now we're in a real sprint race and with some really, really tough competition.
It was I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it was getting hot and heavy at this point. Now is the time of the race where we mentioned earlier, doesn't matter who you've been working with, you start thinking about yourself. And every lap that clicks off the pylon, you start thinking about yourself more and more. Like, what do I have to do to get to the front? We saw some not so pretty moves, but everybody kept it pointed in the right direction for the most part. For the most part. But we got down to crunch time, inside 10 to go, and 9 to go, and 8 to go, and nobody was waiting like we saw at the Xfinity race. It was hectic for the final 20 laps since the green flag came back out, Phoenix.
Full-on send mode.
Full-on race, which is typical. It's a Daytona 500. Yeah. We wouldn't expect anything less. When we saw somebody go to the lead, they barely led before they was passed, and we had a new leader, and then it would just keep cycling.
But it was a little bit more controlled than some of the wilder races we had during Speedweeks. It was a little more calculating, probably because there was a lot more on the line. Everybody wants to win the Daytona 500, but it still lent to some really interesting situations before we took the checkered flag. So
as the laps winded down, we got to 2 to go, got the white flag. We saw some drivers get shuffled on the high side, and it seems that high side gets thinner in a certain moment inside 2 to go, and nobody wants to go up there because they don't want to lose spots. We saw that with the 45 cars. He was really one trying to press the outside lane. He got hung out there at one time. And myself, we lost the main pack, about 4 or 5 of us. We caught them, and as soon as we caught them, that outside lane, our lane, when we got the draft, we shot up to the outside lane. Myself was the lead car of that group, and we got connected with the 45, and away we went to the outside lane, and that really changed the outcome of the race. And that 45 car was driven by a guy named Kime. His PSN is Kime Time. From the beginning of the race, he was the one that was making the single car runs. Looked like he was gauging how far he could get. He would get, maybe go from he started 20th. He would get up to, say, 5th or 6th, and then he would try it again, and no one would go with him, and he'd end up falling back. But he kept trying, and he made 3 or 4 solo runs, I think, before you connected with him. But once you connected with him, it was like that's all he needed to move forward. So myself, once I got connected with the 45, I did have help by, I believe, 1 or 2 cars, but I hit the 45 so hard in the rear end, I was afraid I was going to either shoot him left or shoot him right, which we've seen very frequently happen a few times in these next-gen cars, but I hit him luckily square on the rear, and that was the race-winning move. We thought for the moment, as the 45 went to the race lead, myself went to second. We both cleared, I believe, the 4 of Wade Gaming at the time, off of turn number 2. We did get a little disconnected for the moment, but that move was an unbelievable move. Just us two were the only two from that high side to clear them down the backstretch. I believe that was the final lap.
That was the final lap. Yeah, you cleared them down the backstretch out of 2 fairly quickly, probably before halfway down, and then everything changed because the whole pack was kind of like behind you, 3 wide, and it was the last lap, and everybody knew it, so everybody sent it,
once
didn't
we
they?
Once we made that move, it was like you opened the floodgates. Yep. Off of turn number 2, you had 3 by 3 by 3 cars. I didn't do a great job of covering the bottom, so I got stormed on the bottom. I was getting passed on the top. You had cars banging off each other's door. It's the Daytona 500, man.
Yeah.
We're all racing to the line. The 45's got to block 17 different lanes, and oh my goodness, through turns 3 and 4, we had a few cars getting to the wall, but somehow, Phoenix, everybody kept it pointed in the right direction. Off of turn number 4, Kime was able to hold him off and collect his 3rd Daytona 500. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe everyone kept it going straight.
I couldn't believe that half the guys that were up front on the first lap finished near the back, you know, at the end of the race. It was like a half a lap, and the whole field got mixed up once again. And you know, how many replays did I have to watch from different cars to try to figure out what happened and where everybody went? That was wild. But it was a great finish. That was a great move.
Unbelievable finish. I know that one was good. That was about as good as the Xfinity race. I mean, it had more cars involved in the Xfinity finish, but man, yep. 2 races, two breathtaking, nail-biting finishes. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. But speak of it, we do have our Daytona 500 winner with us. If he's not asleep, I know he's very exhausted. Kime, do we got a copy on you?
What is a Kime anyway?
It's a German.
Kime, we gotta ask you, Kime. First of all, congratulations on being officially declared as the 2024 Daytona 500 winner. Let's talk about that race-winning move. You got shuffled on the high side. I know at that moment you're thinking you're like in quicksand. All right, well, I'm going to the back. There's nothing I can do at this point. Here comes the one car with help from a few others, not many. The one car didn't check up. He nailed you, and that sent you and him both to the race lead. What were you thinking when you saw your rear view, and here comes the one? Did you think he was going to go maybe with that type of speed, make it 3 wide like you did when you went around Trey to the race lead? Or did you think he was going to hit you that hard and send you to the lead?
I was hoping you'd hit me. I mean, that was my hope. I mean, actually, right before that, I think I actually got into Adam because he was a little wide off of the turn and everything, and I was trying to set up a run to, you know, have that outside when I saw you guys coming up in the back, and we just barely tapped. It lost me a little speed, but, you know, I saw you guys in my rearview mirror, and then I was like, let's go.
And, well, Kyle, it was an unbelievable race, and let's talk about your race. You didn't, I'm not going to say had a bad race. You had an eventful one. You actually didn't lead that many laps in this race. You led a significant amount less than what you have led compared to your other 2 previous Daytona 500s. How different was this one, and how much more challenging was this one to win compared to your previous 2?
If anything could have gone wrong in the first half of the race, I think I found it. Because, I mean, I can't remember what happened exactly on the first stage, if I got knocked out of the draft or something happened, and then I was battling with the leaders, about to get my lap back and everything, and Chad found the glitch, and I was on his outside, and I needed some goody headache powder or something because
you found the wall.
I found the wall quite harshly, yes. So I thought I was going to be, getting my lap back then, but nope. I had to go to the pits, get that thing fixed up, and make some more runs at it. I got lucky and I was able to take a wave around a few laps later, I believe, because everybody else went to pit because they were trying to make sure they could be able to make it, on that second stage to not have to pit on that last stage. But I was like, nope, I'm not pitting. I'm going to just take this wave around, try to save as much gas as I can, and then I had more bad luck. I got knocked out of the draft again with just something happened. I don't remember what happened. And I was like, all right, let's I had Bean with me. We were drafting, and I was like, I tried to get him to do what I did, but regretfully he ran into some bad luck. So we took 4 tires, filled it all the way up, and I was like, all right, we're going to have a stage in here real quickly, so we'll be able to get a wave around when all the leaders, get that pit stop at the stage. So
you pitted early to not have to pit at the stage end, is what you're saying?
Yes. It was a few laps early. I mean, I think we pitted with like 5 to go or something because we were able to stay pretty close.
A couple of laps of gas for the third stage in order to stay out and take the wave around and get back on the lead lap when the stage break came.
I ran out of gas when I was pitting, but
yeah, we heard.
We ran it as long as I could, and they're like, all right. Normally, I mean, you're able to make 2 laps on when it says 2 to you get that warning light.
Yeah.
But apparently this time it decided to give me 1 3/4 of a lap, so it shocked me there.
Do sometimes.
And I was able to. Thankfully, it was right off of turn 3 and 4 and everything, so I was able to make it back to pit road and get the tires and gas, and was able to take that wave around that next time, and then was just able to battle the rest of the race, with the leaders and everything.
So, Kyle, I do have to ask you one question before I send you to Phoenix. Coming off turn number 2 there on the last lap, when Mystic got you to the race lead, you guys had such a wave of momentum going to the race lead. Coming off of turn 2, when you saw in your rearview 3 lanes of traffic on the backstretch, did you think for a second you were a sitting duck?
I knew Wade was going to make another run once he figured out the little fuel issue, I guess, that they were having. So I was just trying to, kill any run that they had. And hopefully, if they got a run, able to push me ahead. But you have to almost drive in your rearview mirror when you're in the lead, the last lap and everything. So, I mean, you watch your guys' runs. You try to make sure, you get a clean hit on them where they hit you and move you forward. But, I mean, it's dangerous driving, but it can be exciting.
Well, you certainly had an exciting race, because did you get any stage points in the first stage?
No.
Did you get any stage points in the second stage?
No.
So it means you were out of the top 5, and we know from what you said, you were out of the top 10 in both stages. So you were like completely out of contention heading into until the third stage, when you finally got back on the lead lap. Is that correct?
That's when I finally found that lucky rabbit's foot or something where I stopped getting. Well, no, I had that luck later in that race also. Never mind. It wasn't until that last caution I found that lucky rabbit's foot and was able to make runs and not get accidentally knocked out of the draft or have some other bad luck. I mean, it was just a lot of bad luck early, and a lot of guys were saving gas early, and silly me trying to make passes and move ahead of people, but I don't like saving gas. What can I say?
I totally understand, and I agree with you. But so you finally get back on the lead lap at the start of the third stage. So what happened then? Take us down to the last lap.
Well, forget what lap it was. I got knocked out of the draft again, so I made a judgment call, all right, about where I am on the track. If I go into the pits now, I can make it the rest of the race, and the leaders are eventually going to catch me. So I just like, okay, I know that some of them are going to be saving gas, so I'll just let them go by. If I can get back up and try to race and put myself in the position to be a lucky dog if a caution comes out, or if I can just lead the group and, I'll help them save gas. I'll just be the rabbit that leads them all the way around, and then hope that the caution comes out and I can get back on the lead lap and make a battle for it.
And then what happened?
First three guys pitted. I was the first car, and caution came out. So
Boom.
That good luck finally happened. I was looking for it.
And so for the last sprint to the end, where did you restart?
Maybe I can't remember for sure if it was 10th or not. It was somewhere in that range.
Okay, so you were around 10th when you restarted with about 22 laps to go, and you were able to pick up the win. That's pretty hard with this group.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was able to get lucky with some runs, and a few of them I had Mystic pushing me on. One of them I didn't even realize who was behind me when I made the 3-wide move past Trey and Shady Acres when they were side by side, the Wade brothers and Chad, which got me in the lead. Yep. And I didn't really realize until after the race who actually was the one behind me who pushed me on that. So I have to thank Mystic for that. He got me in the lead for a couple of times, and we were just able to make an exciting battle pretty much last 8 laps. I mean, I think almost in the last 5 laps we had a different leader almost every lap, if not every straightaway.
Or almost a caution. We could have went either way, and we went caution-free from the 22 lap mark.
One more question, we'll let you go for tonight. I know you didn't have the 2023 campaign you wanted to, not the finish of it. A lot of people were saying, hey, maybe Kime just isn't with it anymore. Maybe he's not motivated like he used to be. I don't know if you've heard that, or maybe not. Maybe you ignore it. If so, do you kind of use that as fuel and motivate yourself? You start off with really good runs throughout Speedweeks. You had some few rough moments, but man, to win your 3rd Daytona 500 in 5 years, that is really unbelievable. And we talked a cool little stat. Every year you've won the 500, you've made it to the Cup Series Final 4. Is this the year where you say to all those haters, hey, hold the brakes. Kime is not done yet. I got another championship in me.
Well, it comes down to I don't make every Friday night race. That's going to be my Achilles heel. It was my Achilles heel last year.
What about the Truck and Xfinity Series as well? You can put that in there as well.
Well, I mean, regretfully, the Xfinity Series last year, I missed one race in the final round, and that's what eliminated me from that one. And the truck race, I don't know if I personally made a mistake by trying to slow my car down and it burned my right rear tire off more, or...
You're talking about the Championship 4?
Yeah, Championship 4 in Texas. I'm not Texas, sorry, Phoenix. I mean, and blew a tire with last lap, I believe it was, and let Story Square get by me, and he got a walk off with the truck championship, which is the last one I'm looking for. So,
to complete the set, you mean?
Yeah, I'd love to have the set. I got the Xfinity, I've got the Cup, and I was hoping to get that truck, but Story got me that one, and I just have to, congratulate him on that one and just say, hey, good race. You did it right. We didn't rough each other up at all that race. So, I mean, he won it outright. So, you just got to congratulate the guy on that. So, I just took second, I think.
So Kime, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on your 3rd Daytona 500. I know this means a lot to you. Now officially in the playoffs. I know you won't be full-time, but last year you weren't full-time, and you see what you was able to accomplish. But congratulations. We'll let you celebrate. We look forward to seeing you next week at your favorite track, which is Phoenix.
We'll see if I make that one. I know I want to be there. That's for sure. I do like racing at Phoenix. It's a fun track and everything. And I want to thank you guys for letting me on here tonight. And you guys have a good night. And we'll talk to you guys later.
You got it.
That is Time, the winner of this afternoon's 2024 Daytona 500. Man, what a race. It doesn't get any better than that. That's a view from Kime. You gotta have partners at these races, and
you gotta have faith.
You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta take chances because like myself, if I hadn't pulled out a line Thursday, I wouldn't have finished second to F1. Second stinks, but it's better than eighth or ninth. If I hadn't went to the high side today, I wouldn't have helped Kime win the race.
Well, I got a feeling that these, point here, point there, in this year's championship is going to mean more than other than third is going to be an issue, I think.
I think this year has a really, really good chance to be like really, really crazy competitive. I just have that feeling.
I do too.
So
now, there's one guy that I want to talk to who has, I think he's worked harder than anybody to excel at these super speedways. Do you know who that is, Mystic?
I believe, do we have him? Do we have a copy on him?
10 Roger.
That is Chad.
Can you hear me?
Chad, you guys in the stream, let me know if you can hear Chad. Chad, you got a copy?
Copy.
All right.
Can you hear me? Yep.
We got you. Hopefully the stream's got you. Phoenix, go ahead and fire your questions. I know you've been wanting to talk to Chad.
Chad. Oh, last year. Disaster. At the height of what you worked so hard for to win the Daytona 500, you got basically DQ'd on a technicality, right? Mm-hmm. So every time we go to Daytona or Talladega, you put everything you can into it. You find more speed. You find more strategy options to go through the race. I know how hard you work. I know how fast you are. How did you get through today's race? And tell us what your experience was.
Well, today's race was one of the most cleanest plate races I think I've ever ran in my entire life on a plate track on this game.
Sure,
in this
even
league.
the end there.
yeah, I'll even call it even the end there. I ended up in the wall there toward the end, but yeah, it was the cleanest. I mean, I don't know that we ran too many laps outside the top 5. Like, we stuck the car up front most of the race. If we did fall back, we'd just stick to the bottom and get right back up toward the front. Clean race. Like, that's what I'm most impressed with, is a clean race. Had some really good finishes in the stages. Got stage points in both stages. Was real proud of that. Just things didn't go our way on the last lap in the last corner, and Mystic says it all the time, it's one of the most difficult things to do is just be in the right place at the right time on these things.
Take us through that last lap and what you were thinking going into it, and what sidetracked your victory today.
Okay, so last lap I had just been passed back for the lead because I was leading with 2 to go.
Right.
Those last 2 laps seemed like it took 2 days.
You were able to put yourself in position, 2 laps to go, which is a great place to be, okay?
Mm-hmm. 2 laps to go, and man, people they were getting runs, and I wanted to block, but there were so many runs coming, and I had the person I wanted to push me behind me, so I wasn't, it was Wade. Okay. Wade Gaming was behind me to push me. Me and him's got a lot of history on these plate tracks, so I'm like, all right, I've got the guy behind me I want. So I'm just going to let these runs on the outside take place, and if they get around us, they get around us, and we can get it back. There's still 2 to go, long time on plate track. So some of the funnest racing, me and Kyle were talking before we got started here, is those last 2 laps were fun. They were really a lot of fun racing each other, and I felt like we had 6 or 7 lead changes in 2 laps, and we got to that final corner. Yep. And that's just where the perfect race kind of went away.
Where were you? Were you still in the lead at this point?
No, we'd done been passed back for the lead. Me and Wade was getting ready to set up a run on Kime. There was a couple cars behind us. Like, everything just fanned out going to that corner. It was hard to really know exactly what happened. Yeah, it all fanned out. One car got into another car 3 wide and ended. I think I got into weight a little bit because of that, and that kind of killed his momentum. But he survived and carried on back up a second. And I got the short end of the stick there. That's not anybody. I don't really believe it's anybody's fault per se. That's just, going for it all at Daytona.
So what happened that you got the short end of the stick? So you were about to make a run, and
I was about to make a run, and the runs from the outside. There was more runs coming from the outside. We got shuffled back, me and Wade. And we're going down the back straightaway. We're I don't know if he's backing up or what. Wade does slow down quite a bit there at the off of turn 2.
He had a throttle issue after the race.
But we're trying to motor back, and I think we've done situated ourselves back to the high side at this point, and setting up for that last lap. At this point, I am a dedicated pusher. I've been told myself the best you can do here is finish second and push Wade to the win, and that's what we were on board to do. Got to the corner, and like you said, they all fanned out. We picked the open hole, and it closed quickly and ended the run. Still finished 8th.
So you made contact
in the running order.
And you made contact, and where'd you end up?
I ended up 8th. The lead pack just left me. I mean, but that was coming out of 4. I was the last car out of that lead pack.
Gotcha.
It just roughed me up hard enough to get me out of that lead pack. But like I said, I was disgusted and kind of aggravated after the race, but after we went back and rewatched some things and seen, it's pretty much just plate racing. Had a good points day at Daytona. Too many people say that other than the guys that finished in the top couple there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Mystic?
I agree with everything y'all said. Good feedback from Chad. Chad, like Phoenix is saying, last year was one to forget. You went from the highest of the high to the lowest of the low. This year, it was a whole different experience, a whole different race, what we saw. You were a little bit of everywhere, but you had a good car. You could really run about everywhere you wanted, and I know you worked with Wade a little bit more, but you worked with a lot of folks. Describe what all you learned today. And what are your expectations as the season goes? We know you really have high expectations. We know you've been working hard, really working on your racecraft, and you have high expectations for yourself. What do you expect as this week goes, now that we really begin the real deal, if you will, at Phoenix and the races coming up?
Oh, yeah, now the real season begins, and the me signing with Story Squared chassis we're going to find out what we're made of here. We're going to have get some of the best chassis in the business, and we're going to see if we can take them, put them up front on some of these other tracks that I've never won on a intermediate or short track in your league. So,
as a team, how do you feel where your team chemistry is right now? What's your strengths and what's your weaknesses, and as the races that, like I said, as they're coming up, where do you feel like your highs and lows are?
Our team chemistry right now is pretty good. Like I said, if you just sit back and take a look at what we did on Speedweeks, if that's any indication of what we're going to do and how hard we're going to work on these intermediates and short tracks, a lot of people better watch out. Another thing is, you talked about the competitiveness. I think adding me to Story Square chassis, if you don't watch this story unfold this year, this ought to be quite the story midway through the season or toward the end of the season. Something that you'll be really talking about, I hope, having a good points run for the season.
You know we like to hype things up around here, so give us something to talk about. Chad, you did a great job today. I know it wasn't the finish that you wanted, but as you alluded to, great points today, and I know that the points is what will get you where you need to go when it's all said and done. Congratulations, Chad.
Congratulations, Chad, and be proud because you got a win during Speedweeks. You've been up front every race you were in at Daytona, and I think you're going to have a lot of good things this year. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
So those of you in the stream, let's take you to the official now race results from the 2024 Daytona 500 and Mystic Racing League. Officially, Kime collects his third Daytona 500 win. third in 5 years, his first since the 2021 season. Wade Gaming, he had 2 Daytona 500s entering today. He will have to remain at 2 as Kime beats him to the third. As that's kind of ironic. The 2 drivers tied at 2 finished 1-2 after 200 laps. Story Square finishes third. Adam Dabbs fourth, and S4G Mystic complete the top 5. 6th was Shady Acres, 7th was Chad, 8th was HT3, 9th was Phoenix, and 10th was Gaming Legend. 11th was Jack Ballsy, 2 laps down. 12th was Grim. 13th was Bowhunter, 3 laps down. One Fast Bean was 14th. Curdy was 15th. Curdy led the field to the green. Didn't have the race he wanted to have, but he'll come home 15th today. 16th was Ricky LaFleur. He did not finish today's race, 5 laps down. Easy, Daytona, and Parky Plunger 17th, 18th, and 19th, 5, 6, and 8 laps down. They all did finish today's race. Eddie was 20th. 21st was the Ritter. 22nd was NASCAR Extreme. 42 laps down, 112 laps down, and 160 laps down. 22 drivers started. We had 18 drivers finish. Parley and Track Bars were the 2 drivers that did not start today for the Daytona 500. We will mention that Gaming Legend did cross the line, I believe, 4th or 5th today, but he did get penalized for passing below the WL line on that final lap, and he was penalized at the tail end of the lead lap. That's why he was scored 10th for the official race results.
What about the bottom? And something else about our Daytona 500 winner.
What about the Daytona 500 winner?
Well, he not only won the 500,
yes,
but he also got the hard charger.
He did get the hard charger. Daytona 5 winner Kime this afternoon started 20th. He started all the way back at 20th. Now, years past, if you've watched this since 2021, for the last 3 years, we've only started 16 drivers. Now, Daytona 500, we started a little bit more. But no driver has ever started from further than 16th to win a Mystic Racing League NASCAR sanctioned event. Today, Kime started 20th, which is a really cool, fun fact. So, Kime, congratulations on that. He started 20th, won today, so the 19 position difference that now holds the record. So, you guys are going to have to step it up. The only way you can, well, you can't beat it now. You can only tie it. You can still tie it in a cup race. You won't be able to tie it in Trucks and Xfinity. I guess you'll have to wait till next year in the 500 to have a chance to beat it, considering we actually don't start more than 20 drivers. But a really, really cool stat there. That's hard to do, even at a super speedway. That's hard. But congratulations to him. But a quick scan of your point standings. Following the Daytona 500, Wade Gaming is the points leader, 51 points. Now, these are the points not just from today, the stage points not from today, but the duels on Wednesday that you guys watched, hopefully. And they did award points to the top 10 finishers, so it's all shuffled around and what's so. Adam Dabbs is second in the points. Chad, third in points, as he just mentioned a while ago. He had a great points today. Kime, your race winner, fourth in the points. Mystic, fifth. Story Square, 6th. Shady Acres, 7th. Phoenix, 8th. HT3, 9th. And Jack Ballsy, 10th. Those 10 drivers will have a provisional for this upcoming Friday's event at Phoenix for the NASCAR Cup Series event. 24 drivers on the board for the Cup Series in the drivers' standings. Well, Phoenix, it was a wild one at Daytona. Before we get into the previews of Phoenix, let's review, or let's just debrief on NASCAR Speedweeks. In my honest opinion, I think by far it was the most competitive Speedweeks. We had a little rough moments here and there, but the racing, I think, was not just on a different level. I think on a whole different 2 or 3 levels than what we've seen. It was just unbelievably competitive this year, from the night one when we took the green flag all the way to this afternoon in the Daytona 500.
Well, I have to agree. We started off rocky, like we talked about earlier in previous shows about the Speed Weeks. But like most seasons, the beginning of most seasons, we had some new guys, some veterans, but we started to kind of maybe not necessarily bond, but we started to gel a little bit, and we started to get used to each other, and the racing got better as we went through the week, especially in the Cup cars. And then for the truck and Xfinity races, yeah, it was still a little rough around the edges with those. I think a lot of it was because the cars and the truck handle so differently that it's like a totally different experience. But yeah, excuse me, and culminating in today, I mean, we had situations that I think last week would have been, knockdown, drag out, caution kind of situations, but people kept it straight and kept it on the track, and we bounced around a lot, but for the most part we made it, we made it through, and that led to a lot better racing than we've had in the past at times.
I definitely agree. NASCAR Speedweeks was definitely a hit this year. We look forward to doing it again in 2025. Maybe we can take it to a whole different level next year as well. We can't wait to experience it with all of you guys. But now the fun begins.
We don't have to wait for this kind of racing till 2025, because we're coming back to Talladega in a few months.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. So we go to the other super speedway. Yeah. But we got a lot more stuff I think we're going to have to talk about later on,
But
when we get to
we'll shift ahead to week number 2 for Mystic Racing League's NASCAR League. That is Phoenix Raceway. Phoenix will host the NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Cup Series this Thursday and Friday. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, we are off for the Truck Series this week. They will not compete on Tuesday. Their next event will be at Auto Club next Tuesday, so we'll catch them on the next podcast, which will be next Sunday. But we'll preview those guys next Sunday. That's what I was meaning. But let's preview Phoenix, man. Phoenix is
not me, the track.
Not him, the racetrack Phoenix. We always make that joke. But it hasn't been a long time since we raced Phoenix. Phoenix, just a couple months ago, we had our season finales in October. With those races, were absolute barn burners. Those races got better as the series rolled into town. The truck race was really good, as Khan was mentioning in his interview just a second ago. The Xfinity race between myself and Story Square was a all-out, drag-out, door-to-door, side-by-side, final 20 laps type of race for the championship. And then the Cup race, I don't know if we'll ever have that style of Cup finish for a championship. It was blink your eyes and whoever won it. And you saw what happened on the final turn. Story Square won that one. The defending winners, Jay Wood is the defending winner in the Xfinity Series at Phoenix. And Story Square, the defending winner in the Cup Series at Phoenix as we approach this time around. I personally think this time around you may see the same type of racing, but it may be a little bit different. Now, the Cup cars, we haven't raced the Cup cars at Phoenix yet, so we don't know what to expect. As far as the mileages and laps go, the Xfinity race will be 200 laps, 200 miles, the full distance, 3 stages. I believe the stages are 45, 45, and 110 for the Xfinity Series. We'll double-check that.
Yeah.
The Cup Series, it is 312 laps, 312 miles. I believe the stages are like 75, 105, and 112, I want to say.
They're weird.
It's somewhere weird. Phoenix, Stage 1 and Stage 2 aren't the same, but...
yeah.
But Phoenix is the home of our championship race once again in 2024, and it also has produced some wild finishes. It's had some fuel mileage finishes, some tire consumption finishes. It has had every type of finish you could want in Mystic Racing League, and we expect no less this week, Phoenix. What do you expect?
Well, let's see. We're going from the World Center racing, where drafting is the most important element, especially with the Cup cars, and we're going down from a 2.5 mile track to a 1 mile track, where yes, bumping and banging, it's 1 mile, but it races like a short track. It's fast though, 160, 170 miles an hour down the straights. And what I always look at Phoenix, it usually goes one of two ways. Either we have like a knockdown drag out where it's, it's like trading paint and bumping and racing, or we're sitting there realizing that somebody's saving, so now we have to save gas and tires and, hope we don't blow one before we end the race. And it usually goes one of two ways, Either way, it tends to be a nail biter because you don't know who is going to emerge as the car to beat when it comes down to the checkered flag, as we saw the last time we came here for the Championship 4. And just because it's not a Championship 4 race, the way MRL tends to race at Phoenix it's just like a Championship 4 race. At least
Every
that's
time.
what you think.
I think you'll see guys in the Xfinity Series this week, guys like Kime, guys like Story Square, that didn't have a great Xfinity race on Thursday at Daytona. Those guys will be ones to watch at Xfinity. We saw Story Square have a really good race there in the fall. Kime does have the most wins in the Xfinity Series at Phoenix. That is his place. That's his track, his favorite track. So we expect those guys to be really, really good. Davey Allison is one of them. I know Davey hasn't had many starts in Mystic Racing League, but he's good there. I mean, he has like 2 starts there. He's been really good. So I think those guys that struggled, those are 3 guys that did struggle in the Xfinity Series at Daytona. I think those guys will be really good. Like I said, Phoenix is hit or miss on a lot of guys because a lot of guys either seem to struggle or they run really good. There's not really an in-between.
It's a tough track. The 2 ends are different, so you can't just set it up one way. It's a compromise. It's like a different kind of Darlington in a lot of ways, but it's no Darlington, but it can feel like that. But also, at Daytona, you friends are important. You push Kime out front. Chad got pushed out front. Phoenix is you. You don't need anybody else to move ahead. You just need a little bit of luck and a good car under you, and you're in the mix, right?
That is correct. Really, we see the long run cars win these races if they go green. Typically, that's what we've seen the most in the past. I mean, we've seen short run cars win, but not preferably with the way the races go. I mean, myself, the way I won my championship, the Xfinity Championship, I won it by having a long run car. Jay Wood won the races by having a long run car. Story Square won the truck championship by having a long run truck. He had to bounce back from a late race scare. The Cup Series, the guys that pitted ran the guys that tried to stay out all the way down. So that's a different story. But we've seen it go multiple different ways, like I alluded to. It's just we can't tell you what type of race it's going to be because we've seen it 100 different ways. It just depends which path we go down when the race goes green.
But we have another factor in the mix. We've never raced the 22 Cup car at
That is
Phoenix
correct.
before. So are we going to find surprises like we found at Daytona that, longer stages are not going to be that much of a factor because the car can run longer? Or faster or slow, what are we going to be looking at?
In my opinion, since she can run the next-gen car harder and they'll hold on for longer, I mean, they still get loose, but like tracks like Martinsville and Bristol and Phoenix you can add in there, where being loose is a killer, and if you can keep the rears on it in the long run, you're good. It's going to help you. So I think
could definitely be a huge factor.
It's going to change the way the race goes. I mean, you still got the drivers that fade late, but I think the racing will be more competitive for longer. A lot of drivers are going to get loose later in the runs, and I think you're going to be able to run longer. I mean, fuel will be fuel, but we'll have to see. I mean, like I said, every race that we run with the next-gen car is a new page in the notebook. We don't know what's going to happen. So the Xfinity, we have notes to fall back on, but the next gen, it's like, okay, this is how it works.
Yeah. Well, I practiced a bit for Phoenix, and I was very surprised that the Gen 6 car doesn't typically have a lot of stability there. It's you're almost driving at a dirt track, by the end of the run when you're getting down to pit, whereas this car seems really stable, which I think is going to lend to a lot better racing than we've seen at Phoenix in the past.
That's my guess, but we have been wrong before.
Well, we got to run them. That's why we run them, right? To
But
find
that's
out.
right. But those of you that haven't checked the race results or the updated point standings following Daytona, you can do that on our website. It is available now. Click the 3 bars at the top right, and then click the NASCAR section. It'll be right there on the screen under the NASCAR section. But I believe that's about all. Phoenix is up next on the docket for Mystic Racing League. Race 2 for the NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series. Reminder, the Truck Series is off this week. They will be back in action at Auto Club next Tuesday. Not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. But like I said, if you want to review any race that we have ran in the 2024 season, from the Clash all the way at the beginning of January, all the way to this afternoon's Daytona 500, you can do that. It is all organized in a playlist on our YouTube channel. The NASCAR Cup Series events are in their own playlist. The Speedweeks races are in their own playlist, Xfinity and Truck, etc., etc. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to answer. If you're interested in joining Mystic Racing League, we'll be happy to answer you. Thank you to our partner, Solid Rock Carriers. Thank you to my co-host, Phoenix. Glad to have you as always, my friend. You did a great job tonight and a great job at Daytona. And we look forward to seeing you, Phoenix, at Phoenix.
Phoenix at Phoenix. That's
always a good combination. Thank you guys so much. For all my competitors, I know you guys may scan in this podcast. I do want to give a shout out to you guys. You guys are the ones that makes Mystic Racing League what it is. I know I'm really hard on you guys a lot of times, but you guys pulled through for me today, and we had a very, very good show at the race today. So thank you guys so much. All of you guys that tuned in tonight, thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of MRL Radioactive, where we update you everything.
Chad, for being our guest.
And thank you, Kym and Chad, for joining us tonight. MRL Radioactive appreciates you guys for tuning in to everything Mystic Racing League has to offer. We'll keep you updated every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll remind you guys, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday night. Set your alarms. We'll be back next Sunday night to keep you updated. We'll update you guys from the events from Phoenix. If you want to watch those events from Phoenix, set your alarms. Thursday night, the NASCAR Xfinity Series will be in action for 200 laps. Green flag is scheduled for 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And, Friday night, green flag is scheduled for, right now, it is 8 o'clock. Those times are subject to change. But join us right here on the live stream. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and we will catch you at the racetrack. Good night, everyone. Everyone enjoy your week. Be safe. We'll see you at Phoenix.